All right, welcome to another episode of Warrior versus Zombie, and I have an amazing warrior guest for you, Jonio Hanlon, and I can't wait to introduce her to you. But first, let me explain to you why you're here. Success is a journey, it's not a destination. As warriors, we all have a history of ups and downs, wins and losses that are all part of making us who we are up to this point and provide a foundation for our path forward. We all battle our inner zombie as well as those zombies in our world. And in each episode, I interview warriors who are aspiring leaders from all walks of life: entrepreneurs, artists, health practitioners, business owners, literally any inspired leader that has a story to tell. These warriors have a cause, unique value, and a vision that goes generations into the future. And today's guest is no exception. Joanie O'Hanlon is an amazing warrior. She's a mother, wife, friend, serial entrepreneur, high performance coach, and a mentor to ambitious mothers. As a coach, she teaches ambitious moms how to turn their yearly income and breakthrough in every area of life that's blocking them. So her warrior journey began as a child growing up in Northern Ireland in a family of 6 children with parents struggling to make ends meet. Overcoming the zombies of scarcity and limiting beliefs to become a successful entrepreneur, creating a coaching community for ambitious moms stuck in their finances, business, careers, and personal lives. Joanie empowers these moms to live a life of freedom, build multiple sources of income, and have a work-life balance, making quantum leaps in their performance. As a Bob Proctor Coach with PGI, she mentors clients from her personal warrior journey, and today is personally living, breathing an example of the successful mom she envisions for her clients. Joanie O'Hanlon, welcome to Warrior versus Zombie. How are things in Northern Ireland today?
Thank you for having me. Really good. Just a little line there was turn their yearly income into their monthly income.
Oh,
Um, just filling
that's
that little
what I
piece in
missed.
for
That's
you.
what I missed. I
Yes.
was thinking there's something missing there. That was so the yearly income into their monthly income. I knew that was there. I actually must have somehow deleted that. And I'm thinking when I'm reading my version of your introduction or whatever, I thought, that didn't come out quite right. So that's why I paused a little bit. But thank you for sharing. The good news is, as we get going here, in the next segment, we'll talk about your story. So you get to correct anything I did wrong in that introduction. But I wanted the audience to kind of get to know a little bit of who they're going to meet here. So thank you for being here. I gather things there are a little different than they are here in Dallas, Texas today, where it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit, or I don't know, I don't do the math conversion that well, but you usually talk in centigrade, I know, over in Europe. So it's what, 26, 27 degrees. I don't know. It's warm. So
It's nice. It's autumnal. It's fresh. I just love the change of seasons, David. First of all, I'm really happy and grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. And
I'm excited to
nice to
have you.
meet thank you so much. I'm happy to meet your audience through this platform. And yeah, it's really beautiful here. The leaves are starting to fall, and that kind of run up to Halloween and Christmas that everyone loves so much is now that's imminent. So yeah, there's a lot of optimism in the air. I love this time of year. It's cooler here than it is there, but it's really nice.
Yeah, and I love that time of year as well. I've lived in parts of the U.S. and Michigan and some others where there was a lot more fall and a lot more color and a lot more, but it's optimistic. I mean, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, as a coach, but and helping people through their zombies and challenges yourself. I know that what's going on outside you isn't nearly as important as what's going on in your inside your mind and in your family, and then the things that are really important. And I think that's one of the zombies we all have to overcome. Well, let's do this. I want to take a quick break for the audio audience, and they'll hear a little of our theme song, It's Not the Getting There by Ricky Jean Wright. And then I want to come back and I want to hear kind of your story, how you got from where you started as a starting to be a journalist to where you are today, some of the challenges or zombies, as we say, you've overcome, and then talk about what you're doing today after that. So let's hear a little bit more, and we'll come right back with Joanie O'Hanlon and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we are back. And Joanie, short check-in, but excited to hear, as I said before the break, your story. So tell me, how did you get from where you started to where you are today?
I'll try and condense this as best I can. So I'm right now 37 years young. I'm happily married to Emmett. We are living in the north of Ireland, County Tyrone, in the beautiful countryside here. Let me track it right back, I suppose. Well, we've got two little kids. We've got Jarlath, who is 5, and he'll be 6 next month, and Finian, who is 4, and they are so fun and so active, and they're at that stage of life where everything is just fun, and it's flat out, just absolutely day and night raising these boys, but I absolutely love it. So yeah, being a mum it's my first priority, being a mum and being a wife. And then my self-care and all that good stuff. So growing up, I loved to write, David. I loved to communicate. I think I always loved coaching, even as I look back through my childhood. I loved to give advice. I loved helping people and networking, being in and around people. I guess it's just part of my DNA. So it's quite natural now that I am coaching ambitious mothers being mums who want to skip levels in their goal achieving. They're ambitious. They want to earn more money. They want to achieve more success. So in order to get to this place, I did definitely go through a few detours, I suppose you could call them. I studied public relations and communications at university, or college as you would call it. I then took some time out, traveled a bit, and went back to university and studied for a master's degree in journalism. Was only a journalist for a little while because I was dead set on the fact that this was not going to be my career after I completed the master's degree. I said, I don't want to do this. It's toxic. It feels toxic to me. I can't be around negative news all day. I think my soul was craving something more positive, light. I definitely see myself as a light worker in many ways. I want to speak belief into the minds of these ambitious women. I want to be the light of hope. I want them to understand that they can achieve anything they put their mind to. And journalism it was not what I had thought it was going to be. As somebody who loves to talk and loves to write and help people, there's a lot of talking and a lot of writing, but not in the context of the way I like to express myself. So of course I had to find that out by, staying the course, finishing the course, and then having the master's degree certificate, saying at the end, I don't want to do this. But that's how it unfolded for me. I've been an entrepreneur self-employed for, I guess, probably like 12 years, and in the space of coaching women. So I left journalism in order to do that, and I was coaching women more from a health perspective up until the last few years, where it's been diverted through pandemic times to mindset predominantly. It's all mindset. So I became certified as a consultant with the Proctor Institute because I just have loved for such a long time the teachings of the late Bob Proctor, that I sought out his institute and decided I wanted to study their programs and change my life, change my thinking to change my results. So I became a student, and now I am teaching this information to ambitious moms.
Yeah, that's so the journal. I love the pivot away from just the journalism thing and the negative and the mindset. It's interesting that you moved into coaching, that it wasn't necessarily in the mindset, but it sounds like on your journey, the zombie overcoming that constant in your world of negative input as something that especially it's fascinating to hear, during the pandemic, that that became very apparent to you, because we're all body, mind, and spirit. I'm a big believer in, our, as the vision warrior, is what's in our mind, what we can envision. And it's hard when you have those limiting factors in your life where you're focused on things outside rather than your vision, how that can really hold you back. And it can also affect your health. I honestly believe that I call it the zombie apocalypse, but when we talk about the pandemic, I believe that it was a lot of pandemic of fear and angst and all the other stuff. And yeah, it really was, people did get sick, and there was a lot of death. And that's I've had friends and stuff, but to focus on that and to continually put that in every day, listening to the news and like you said, being part of that can be very inspiring. I can only imagine. I wouldn't want to necessarily make a career of that. So that's brilliant that that is a zombie, by the way. I mean, the thing is, starting down a path and then having to, investing all that time and energy. And I don't believe it was wasted. I just believe that you have to decide what you're going to do with that investment. And I'm sure, and I've seen, you're communicating in a lot of different ways. But communication, journalism should be sharing ideas and thoughts and communicating. So I think you're still on that path. You're just coaching and doing it in a different way. So you're getting your return on investment in a different way. What would you, in overcoming and getting to it, what would you say is the biggest zombie or biggest challenge you overcome to get to where you are today? What was the biggest thing?
I think, relating this to your audience as well, who I think really so many need to hear this, the media and being addicted to all that kind of stuff is a huge zombie in the minds of people. And I decided to completely, it's not like I buried my head in the sand. I'm very aware of what goes on in the world, as much as I need to be. Right. We're always going to know what's happening in the world, even if we're not watching the news, because you're always going to have that person who rings you to tell you, did you see that story? You're always going to hear it in the queue at the shop or the store, as you would call it. You're going to hear these things. But I just decided at the start of the pandemic, okay, this is my opportunity to go within, and I'm going to get really selfish about this. I will not watch the news. I will not intoxicate my mind with this. I'm going to play my A game. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to knuckle down on my meditating. I gave up drinking alcohol. I decided that I wanted to completely change and wipe clean my subconscious mind so I could build a new belief system for prosperity, success, and empowerment. And that's exactly what I did. I became obsessed with it. And at times it felt lonely, but that was necessary. And a lot of paradigms come up for people, which are limiting beliefs, but these come up from impressing upon their mind bad news all the time, which if we are consuming bad news, if we are listening to negative people, the people who say you can't do this, you can't do that, well, our results are going to reflect that if we just don't filter this information. So absolutely becoming completely obsessed with a healthy goal during a time when the world was freaking out, for me, was the best way to kind of kick that zombie out. That zombie was not going to get in.
Well, I love it, and especially as a mom with young children and stuff, it's so important. I mean, until you said 4 and 5, and that's I have now grandchildren that are in that age dimension, and 6 of them, and they're and I've got more to come since I have 5 kids. So I can really, and I saw a lot of that over the last year. While my son-in-law was over in Qatar and Afghanistan, bringing people out and stuff, and it was an interesting time, and I got to be very present with my grandchildren during that time, who were the ages of your kids. But it's so important. I think a lot of parents, a lot of moms, since that's kind of your audience, but parents in general, we don't realize that until a kid gets to be about 7 years old, they're just mirroring our emotions and stuff. And if we're stressing and stuff, it's such a, it not only affects us as you overcome, but it affects those around us. And I love the fact that you overcome that zombie in that way, and that you're helping others as you go forward. Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to hear a little more of kind of why you're doing what you're doing, the value you see yourself providing, and then if anything were possible, what kind of, and I believe everything is possible, what kind of impact do you want to have? So let's take a quick break, hear a little more of our theme song for the audio audience of It's Not the Getting There, and we'll be right back with Jonio Hanlon and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, Joni. Well, thank you for sharing that story and some of the challenges you've overcome. So tell me, why are you doing? I mean, I kind of got a sense of it from your story, but tell me, why are you doing what you're doing? The unique value. Not just. I know you studied under Bob Proctor, and sorry, his passing. He's a brilliant man, and but. Tell me a little bit about your unique value, and if anything were possible, what kind of impact?
I truly believe, David, that so many ambitious mums out there, when I say ambitious, I mean an ambitious mum is somebody who she's dedicated to achieving better results in life. She could be an entrepreneur, an intrapreneur, working in a company, a professional in her career. She could be a mum who she wants to write a book, a best-selling book. She maybe wants to get into the best health and shape of her life. She's a mum who she has a goal, or maybe perhaps she doesn't know she has a goal, but she has a burning desire, a feeling within her that there's more. And she's the kind of person who is like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. She's ready to learn from a mentor because she needs that direction. So that's why I say ambitious mum. That is my audience. And the reason it is mums is because I truly believe your vibe attracts your tribe. I can help mums as I know exactly what it's like to be one and to have been stuck and then to get unstuck. So it's all mental, and anyone can get unstuck and achieve results which shock and delight them. But we need to have the know-how, and the know-how is not taught in the mainstream. It's not taught in schools, and it's just not your everyday conversation. Here's how you can use your mindset to 10x your results is not just something typical that you're going to see on the front of a newspaper. So I guess growing up, I grew up in a family of 6 kids in our home in the north of Ireland. And, being in a family that's big, maybe perhaps if I think back to why I do what I do, maybe perhaps I feel I crave that little bit more. Like I think any kid who grows up in a family of 6 maybe wants, and my parents are amazing and they give us as much as they could of their time and their resources and their love and everything. But maybe perhaps I just felt in a big household like that, that I would have wanted more attention, like every single child. As I say that, I say it again, my parents give me all the love that they could, and they still do. So maybe perhaps I grew up wanting to give more, understand better emotions, understand better how to be successful. Because when you are in a household of so many children, you're competing all the time, and maybe feeling like I'm not doing enough or I'm not good enough. And maybe I grew up with these paradigms, these limiting beliefs, which really right now I look back and I'm like, I was a brilliant child. Every child is brilliant. But these little things that are in our little minds, these ideas can germinate. They can, grow bigger throughout our adolescence and into our adulthood. So I always did want to achieve and be successful and make my parents proud. And oftentimes I thought, am I going down the right path here in my career and my choices? And I always wanted the validation. I always wanted to make them happy. I always wanted to make people happy. I thought if we went to university, I thought that's what makes someone successful. You go and you get a degree certificate. And then I realized that I felt empty, even after obtaining 2 certificates from universities, a degree certificate in an undergrad and a master's degree, and I still felt empty. So I thought, right, there's something outside of me that I'm looking for and it's not working. So I need to find whatever it is inside of me. And then this opened up a whole new journey, I suppose, a spiritual awakening, I guess you could call it, in my early 20s, when I discovered personal development, self-help, all the taboo materials like, oh, you don't read self-help, do you? You know, that would have been, and perhaps it still is today, the opinion of people, but I think it's getting a lot more cool and mainstream and acceptable. And also, I think it's very noble to study self-help. So it's just been a natural progression. I've been guided, and intuitively I've been receiving the divine downloads, as I like to call them, go this way. Okay, yeah, you were told, you know, it's the right thing to go to college, do this and do that. But intuitively, I knew I had to go a different direction. I knew that I had to figure out myself and squash a lot of limiting beliefs, learn a lot of self-love and forgiveness, and that I could help other women in doing the same. And that is basically what I do and why I do it. I love to help these ambitious mums grow, get them unstuck, because they're in the quicksand of their mind and they're stuck and the results are flatlining. And whether it's their income, David, or their self-confidence, or, you know, their health, if they're stuck at a certain weight and they want to release that weight and they feel like they're not worthy, all these things are coming up for women. And I was like, I can do something about this. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
And that's brilliant. And I love your vibe is your tribe, attracts your tribe, and all those things. I mean, I think that it's so fascinating to me that all the warriors that I've spoken with and I speak with on a regular basis, how our own story, how the things that we encountered informs our vision and the impact. So if anything were possible, and as I said, everything is possible, what's your target? What's your impact? What do you want? I know you're focused on moms. You want to help women like yourself that are going through these limiting beliefs to overcome those and leverage your story and that and the things you've done and the things you've learned. How big is that impact? What are you just one-to-one coaching? Are you doing large program? What's the impact you'd like to have?
Yeah, the impact through my coaching, which is group and one-to-one, predominantly group. I love teaching groups of women, ambitious mums, you know, how to skip levels and their results and their goal achieving. I want as many of these ambitious mums as I possibly can. They're winners already, but they've lost their way. I want to take them back to that winning mentality. I can't turn losers into winners. And I mean that, I don't mean that in a way that's in any way disrespectful, but if somebody wants to stay stuck and they're happy to be that way, there's nothing I can do with somebody like that. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If somebody were to come to me and they weren't prepared to do the work, I say to these ladies, you have to do the work every single day. You have to get up and have a winning mentality. You can't get up with a loser's mentality and win. You have to do the study, the introspective work every single day. You have to meditate. You have to do your journaling. You have to express gratitude. If you can set aside an hour a day, 45 minutes to 1 hour a day, it doesn't matter how busy you are, everyone can change their life. Everyone can make and mold a new future for themselves. So the goal is always different. I want to help as many of these women as I can. If they're willing to help themselves, I will absolutely give them everything I've got. They have to have a clearly defined goal, because if we don't get out of bed in the morning without a goal, we don't have something that's going to yank us up out of bed and say, I'm up, I'm ready for this. So I help these ladies define a goal which is crystal clear, that they feel they can almost reach into their mind and touch it. It's almost tangible. And then they get to the work in the 6 months study, or the 6 weeks. We do 6 weeks or 6 months. And they get to work and be accountable to me and to the group for 6 months. And through doing this, they can absolutely change their results like night and day. To some, it is shocking. Because if you can imagine somebody who's been glued to the news all through COVID, for an example, and who's a bag of nerves and who is has anxiety at levels which are just absolutely off the scale. And I say, right, you're going to turn off the news. You're going to go inside. You're going to meditate for 6 whole months. You're going to journal. You're going to feel gratitude. You're going to fuse with your goal. You're going to magnetize this goal towards you because you're changing how you see you. The results are absolutely amazing. And I'm addicted to it. I just want to help more women to do this. So it doesn't matter if someone's listening to this and they're like, my bank account has been stuck at X amount for so long. They can 10x that. They just don't know how to do it. But we have the know-how.
That's amazing. Brilliant. I love it. I love it. Yes. And it sounds so simple when you're listening to it, but it really is a decision. It is a decision and a focus. And as warriors, we all know that intention, that focus is really what it's all about. And that we need to, that's why we have coaches. And I know that's as a mentor, that's why I have mentors. As a coach, that's why I have coach. I mean, we all need it. And it's brilliant. I love that, helping them break through those limiting beliefs, change their focus, change their mind. The whole thing. When you're anxious, you're focused on the wrong things. Your feelings are what you focus on, and it's focusing inward, focusing on your goals, all those things. Those are brilliant warrior nuggets. Well, let's do this. We're going to take a final break here, and we'll hear a little more of the theme song from Ricky Jean Wright. It's Not the Getting There. And then we'll be back with what I call the land the plane segment, where I want to hear if we take away anything from this discussion, and you may have said it before, or maybe you haven't said it yet, what would you want the listener to take away? And then if anything, and then how do we come back and find you? So after this podcast. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with Joanie O'Hanlon and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we're back. And Joanie, I appreciate you sharing. I can see your passion, even from the other side of the world. So tell me, if we take away anything from this discussion or this podcast, what would you want us to take away?
I think the most important thing for your listener is to, first of all, forgiveness. If anyone were to ask me, what is the number one thing that has been most instrumental in your own moving forward, Joanie, in your own quantum leaps? I think I've discovered this just in the last month. I searched for this. I've asked the question, knowing that intuition would deliver the answer. I asked, what is the most important thing that I must do to be the best version of myself? And what is this thing? Obviously, others have done it. And I want to know, I want to move closer. I want to get better all the time to teach my clients and my kids, my family, how we can get better all the time. And I realized forgiveness is key. So forgiveness is up there on the frequency of love. It is compassion, forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others. If we can forgive, as hard as it might feel at the beginning, if we can forgive every single person who's ever wronged us, and you might need to really lean into the higher powers, pray more, meditate more on this. But first of all, forgive, and then get to work on finding a big, beautiful goal. Because as Bob Proctor said it better than anyone else, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And I would encourage you, listeners of David's amazing show, to stop living from memories of the past and start creating visions of the future. And use your imagination to fuse with the picture of your goal as you can see it in your mind. Watch that movie trailer every single day and get to work in doing the meditating and being accountable to making it happen. Now, how does that happen? It's difficult without a roadmap, but that is why there are coaches like me who are well trained and highly skilled to help you do this. I certainly didn't know until I sought out Bob Proctor and his organization, but everybody can change their life, David, if they use their own higher mental faculties up in here and start to make and mold their thought, which will then, they will see, it will draw towards them everything it is they want with persistence. and an attitude of every single day, I am having this no matter what. So I hope that answers your question. It's probably a long
Oh,
answer
it's
to the
beautiful.
question.
Yeah, no, that is so brilliant and so powerful. The answer of forgiveness, because as I say, our zombie mind, 95% of the thoughts that we have today, that those same thoughts we had yesterday. Engaging that frontal lobe, engaging that your intention, your goals, being focused forward is what warriors really drive warriors forward. And you've said it so beautifully, and I love the idea of forgiveness, because it starts with yourself. You have to realize that your history doesn't have to become your destiny, that you absolutely can make a conscious decision on a daily basis to live the future and to have the impact that you can imagine. And so I so believe in that. And your way of saying it with your Irish brogue, and the accent, I just loved hearing it. So yeah. So tell me, Joanie, how does I know that we're this replay will be up and on the Be Connected platform, and they found us, on my podcast, Warrior versus Zombie, and there'll be some things in the show notes. But what's the best way for us to follow back up with you and stay in touch?
Yep, so you can find me I'm on pretty much most of the platforms. I'm active on Instagram. So Instagram.com, I think it's / then I am Joanie O'Hanlon. You can find me on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook as well. The exact same handle. It's facebook.com / I am Joanie O'Hanlon. I'm in the Be Connected platform. If you're watching that in here, you can connect with me here. And for those who want to move closer, I would absolutely say don't hesitate in booking a 30-minute call. It's a deep dive coaching consultation, I kind of call it. It's a consultation. It's a coaching call. It's to really find out what it is you want, and we determine how you're going to get it. So we go into the creative process. I really want to know what it is that you want, even if you think you don't know what it is. Of course you do. It's just the exact opposite of what you don't want. So we go there and we form a very clear picture, and then you will be amazed at just how much you begin to learn how this can happen when you take the time to get into a relaxed state and talk about your desires, what it is you really want. I don't mean just something you think you would like. I mean a big worthy goal, something that seems absolutely ludicrous, that your friends would say, you don't need that, you've got enough, be grateful. No, we're going to go there, and we are going to then take this from fantasy to theory to fact. And I'm always straight up when I talk to people. I always let people know there's an opportunity. I'm not going to surprise you with this big. And then at the end, I will be making you an offer. Do you want to get coached by me? Because if you do, you will change your life like night and day. If you do the work, the results will be evident to you, because you will have changed so much. And if your thinking changes, everything changes when your thinking changes. Edison created the light bulb because it was a thought. People thought he was crazy. The Wright brothers, they created the airplane, the flying machine. Their own dad thought they were absolutely crazy, thought they should be locked up. But look now where we are. So don't trivialize your thoughts or poo-poo your thoughts and say, well, it's just a thought. It's not just a thought. If you want to get better, decide to get better. And as I say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
I love it. And so I am Joanie O'Hanlon, right? That's the way to find you on the various platforms, and then also Jonio Hanlon on the Be Connected platform. And reach out to her, schedule that breakthrough session. All right. Well, it's been brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate you and appreciate you. I know you've got to run and get your kids, and that's always an exciting time. I love picking up the kids at the end of the day. So let's, for those listening to us, we're going to land the plane. Hear the final outro of It's Not the Getting There for the audio audience. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Warrior versus Zombie. Thank you, Joanie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Have a beautiful day.